So it's great to speak today with Martin Meir, Managing Director at Reap Bikes. Martin, how are you?
I'm good today. Thank you very much, Gary.
Good. That is good. That is good. Well, we're going to talk quite a bit about your company in a moment. But before we talk about the company and what you're doing, it would be really good to hear how you managed to tie up with, well, basically the most decorated Olympic cyclist ever, Sir Jason Kenny. So he's on board with Reap as a partner and investor in your business. Is that right? So maybe how did this come about? Let's start with that. I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, you're right, Gary. He is a partner and investor, and little bit of a bizarre way of coming about. It is, a bit of a shock in as much as I got a text just before Christmas from a mutual friend of ours, Dean, saying, "I know somebody who wants a track bike." And for the next 5 minutes, the text went backwards and forwards till I picked up the phone and said, "Who are you on about, Dean? Come on, give us a clue." And he just basically said, "Jason's looking for some track bikes for a venture he's going forward with in the future. I think it'd be worth having a chat with him." So we arranged a chat through his manager, and Jason came in just after Christmas. And we basically just sat down and talked bikes. Then I talked about the Reap, talked about the track bike that we developed, talked about what his aspirations for his continued sort of career after cycling. And we sort of, there seems to be a mutual like of bikes, the benefits of bikes, and the mental health side of things. And I think he just loved the idea of things being made in Britain. So the conversation wasn't, Jason, come on board from minute one. It was, how can we help you, Jason? And it turned into, well, Jason, I think there's a mutual benefit to both parties here. I can help you, but also I think you can add massive value into Reap. But and that's not, and it was never a let's put Jason's name all over this. It was, and I think he would have been uncomfortable at that anyway. It was more well, let's work together and add some value to the bike so we can make the fastest bikes. Yeah, because effectively the star has got to be the bikes in this story, and just Jason and myself actually developing them using our experience. Totally different. He comes from a cycling world, I come from an engineering world, and just utilizing those sort of experiences to, develop the fastest bikes you can out there. And so that's how it came about. It was a conversation that went to, well, we're starting here. Where's it going to go? And it was a fairly easy conversation because he's a really nice person, and we sort of found that mutual like of bikes and British engineering and manufacturing. I think that you're hearing where he talks about it. He's excited about the prospect of doing something in the UK.
Fantastic. We'll come to that's brilliant. We'll come on to the UK specific bit in a moment because obviously there's some market forces stuff that we need to talk about. But before we get onto the company, obviously you're originating within the triathlon world with the original bikes, and then obviously we have the aero road bikes, and as you mentioned, developing track bikes as well. Any other athletes along the way? I mean, I'm guessing obviously you work with a number of elite triathletes. Any other athletes or celebrities or other high-profile individuals that you can talk about, perhaps, if you can?
We can. We actually had a rugby legend in last week to collect his triathlon bike. He's converted from rugby to Ironman racing, and that's Shane Williams. So Shane has actually just taken a triathlon bike. I think he's fairly happy with it. He got a 4-minute PB over a sprint distance bike leg, so he was pretty chuffed about that. So we're working with Shane, which is that's bizarre when you actually meet one of your other idols. I actually used to play rugby back when I was a kid, and he's such a decent chap as well. last week we had a long conversation with Ed Clancy.
Okay.
Ed had a little ride of one of the road bikes around the car park, and I think he was somewhat surprised. And but we'll see where that one goes.
In what way surprised? Good surprised, I'm guessing.
Oh, excellent surprise! Yeah, I wouldn't be saying it if it was. It was. Just about the ride and the feel of the bike, and he was just a little bit taken aback that 40 miles away from where he lives, there's a bike manufacturer that actually makes bikes that made him smile. And we've got to, it's the start of a conversation, but we'll see where that goes with in the fullness of time. Currently, we're not actually active with any athletes in terms of racing at the moment. That's just so we can realign ourselves with where we're at the moment. But we've had some great athletes on board, Tom Bishop, Georgia Taylor Brown, Elliot Smales, Fenella Langridge. They're all great athletes, and they've all done really, really well and won races. So we're pretty pleased with how we've been presented over the last few years.
Yeah. So should we talk a bit about where the company's going then? So you mentioned a bit, obviously, you're repositioning and taking the company in a new direction. So you're going ahead with a crowdfunding campaign, working with Crowdcube. Maybe tell us a bit about how that came about and why you've chosen to do this.
Yeah. We found ourselves in a position that where we've been over the last few years, we've actually utilised the engineering side of the company to generate funds to actually move REAP forward. And then that stalled because of COVID. We had a massive contract cancelled, which then basically trying to recover from that. But it gave us the opportunity to reset our focus and mindset and said, right, okay, we've got this fantastic product, or set of products, and but the only thing that we don't have is the exposure. So we actually thought, well, there's a win-win here with going through through Crowdcube, and we'd seen the success that Hubert had with Crowdcube and thought it was a good platform to pick up on. So that it wins in two ways. Is one, it actually gives us a presence by Crowdcube raising the funds, which the funds then can to be utilised to develop the business, and also it gives exposure for the brand as well. It's a double-edged sword, which seems to be paying off thus far.
Yeah, because as you say, I mean, it's sometimes it's hard to get your voice heard and be a smaller brand in a big market with lots of brands, big international brands, obviously produced out of Asia, which I suppose leads me to the next question. So you're a British-owned brand, obviously owned by your good self amongst other investors, and I suppose a rare to see manufacturer of bikes in the UK. So you actually manufacture your bikes in the UK. They're not. This is correct. Yeah, they're not manufactured in Asia at all, or reassembled in the UK. So I'm guessing that you would consider that as a particularly strong USP. Would you maybe sort of give a bit of a background to that and why you've chosen that approach and that route?
I think the route chose me, I'm afraid. There's, I've been a triathlete for 30 years, maybe a little longer than that now. And I've been a composite engineer for that time as well. So they've gone hand in hand. And I've always wanted to make a bike, even when I was young. And the opportunity came along a few years ago. It chose me, in as much as it's a perfect storm. Cycling is growing, in the marketplace, it's growing. I'm a composite engineer. I do triathlons. I ride a bike pretty much every week, and I have done for years. And it was just like, okay, we've got the facility. Let's manufacture bikes ourselves and develop a brand. So in a way, it chose me. But But I think the start point in my mind when I did this was the fact that I was viewing things, and you just look at like the marketplace and you go, well, okay, we've got the best teams, best cyclists and best team in the world, and they're all riding bikes with brand names that are, known to everybody.
Now.
Yeah, I've been very diplomatic there. Yeah, but they're all made in the far east, and that is basically because there's no options for actually British manufactured bikes. So that was a start point, and I think it's actually at the moment it's played dividends in the fact that we are, as you pointed out, we actually, manufacture behind this wall. I can go and make you a bike quite happily, and we manufacture in the UK. But I think the supply chain issues that are coming through with stuff coming out of the Far East is causing some issues. The reshoring thing is very high on people's agenda. You've got shipping bikes halfway across the world. People are a bit more mindful about their footprint and carbon footprint. I think there's a lot of benefit in actually being able to manufacture, but we also have control. If we, as we ramp up, if we want to ramp up, we don't have to it isn't a year delay while we actually get China to make next year's product. It's a general ramp up. We just train more people up and make more tools. So it's a fairly reactive ability to grow the business over the next couple of years.
Fantastic. So you're going live with Crowdcube. Can you maybe talk us through how you'll use the funds? So if I were to invest in Crowdcube, we invest in the REIT brand, what would I as an investor be looking to see in terms of growth and driving your business forward?
Yeah, it's fairly straightforward. That there's a couple of key activities that we've got to do straight away. One is that we've got to put discs on the road bike, disc brakes on the road bike, which we've done as a prototype. We just need to turn that into a production opportunity. And that's not overly difficult because we've already manufactured the tooling to be able to do that. It's just a case of actually doing the final bits of engineering to make sure that we can productionize it. That'd be the key number one development piece of work to do. Then it would actually to have a demonstration fleet, because of going back to Ed in the bike last week. I feel that once people actually ride the bike and get to ride it and get the feel of the bike, they'll understand that it isn't just a Me Too copy. It is something that's very thought through and delivers on what it says it's meant to do. It is a performance bike, and it isn't just looking like a performance bike. It needs to act. It needs to have the right stiffness, the right compliance, and those things are quite important. And you can't convey that through an advert or a promotion. You can only do that by someone sitting on the bike and going, "I get it," and I take joy in watching somebody take the bike out, ride it, and pretty much you can see them sort of go, "Oh, yeah, I get it." Yeah. So and that's both with the TT bike and the road bike. So
yeah. So I guess with this road show, if you like, you'll be putting the idea just to put smiles on people's faces when you get bums on seats and they tried the bike and they that joy of riding a bike. Is that the kind of thing you're trying to convey then?
Yeah, I think it is. It makes me happy. Definitely. I take joy. I like seeing people enjoy the sport. I like seeing people being the best that they can be, and that's as much fun as anything else. So it's yeah. I think that as an approach from marketing is probably better than actually doing, lots of double page spreads in magazines. Now I've just alienated half of the publications out there, so good one, Martin. But yeah, and then it was, that's the second part of what we'll do, and then it is actually just trying to get people to understand what the brand is and actually, push out the brand so that people know that we're here. Not many people know about us, and yeah. It's a constant effort on that marketing. Unfortunately, one of the investors owns an agency, so he's actually said that he's going to sit down and help us with our marketing plans and stuff like that. So it's all very positive.
So presumably with Crowdcube, similar to the Hoob Crowdcube rollout, you have different layers of investment. Is that right? So you can come in at an entry point, and then you can obviously have different price points or levels that you invest in.
Yeah, there's different price points, so to speak, and that's it. Entry level is, I think the minimum is something like £10.78 or £10.39, one of the two.
Very specific number. It's a very specific number.
It is a very specific number. It's to do with share allotment or divisions of shares, apparently, according to Crowdcube. But then, it's all the way through up to the reward packages go up to 40k, but it doesn't mean that you stop at 40k. But the reward packages go up to 40k. One of my favourite rewards is at £10,000, people actually get to have a track experience with Jason Kenny. I just think that's brilliant, because I can't see that being an option to many people out there. But yeah, there's layers, and it is anywhere from £10 to 40,000, and it's and you are I am seeing that as people are loading up to Crowdcube. There is that really wide variation, and all the support is really, really nice. It makes me smile. It's just go, it just gives you that confidence that what we're trying to do is actually hitting the mark, so to speak. And people are actually
and I suppose as well, doing so with people you don't know must be quite strange, that somebody that you don't know is investing in your business. Well, I'm guessing up until this point, for the majority of the case, your investors have been people that you know beforehand, like friends, family, or there's that awful line, isn't there? Friends, family, and fools are the people who invest in early startups. But certainly, friends and family are kind of people that you know, in generally speaking.
There's a double-edged one there. Is the fact that it's really nice that people are getting it. But it's actually also, we're having to be very serious about this. We have to, put the company structure in, because people are entrusting me where the money, and you actually, and they'll want to return. And so, we've got to actually the operational plan and the rollout plan we take very seriously, and it's an honour to have people entrusting me with their money. And it comes with a bit of pressure. We've got a couple of bits of pressure. One is people entrusting me with money, and two, we've got the most decorated Olympian cyclist, on board. So I've got to make sure we make the fastest bikes you can, So it's there's a bit of pressure, but really nice pressure. I'm relishing the thought of getting into this. It's really really exciting.
Yeah, no, definitely. Just one final question, because we could talk all day about this, but
I think we could.
Much as anything. But in terms of the bike industry, you mentioned obviously supply chain issues earlier, but we're really good because obviously with the Reap brand, it's very much a premium, super premium bike, however you wish to categorize it. Specifically, obviously within the road and triathlon space, what do you see the opportunities or prospects, or indeed challenges for that space, particularly with supply chain issues and other potential challenges or headwinds out there, such as global recession and so on, being a possible sniff around the corner?
Thanks for that. That bit that's dampened everything we've just said, all that positive, position that we've gone through. I hadn't thought about that until just. Oh, great, thanks, Gary. Whilst we're doing sort of road bikes, triathlon bikes, track bikes, I think there's more products to roll out. It's going to be UCI, time trial bikes. It's going to be, we'll develop the track bike further to align with Jason. But there's going to be sort of gravel bikes and to do, and there's a growing market. I think it's following, it's understanding the audience and where the market's going and following those. I think the challenge really from the supply chain is componentry. Our challenge is componentry rather than the actual frames themselves. So that is the challenge, but I think that will settle down in the fullness of time. But the market is generally predicted to grow somewhere between 6 and 8% year on year. I think it's in a space where I think more people are generally are more aware and will come to cycling because of the health benefits and the fact that you flip it on the opposite side, fuel prices are going through the roof.
Yeah.
More people will be on bikes, and the more people you get on the bikes, they come in at the bottom. It just moves people up, doesn't it? It's people just rediscover. They rediscover their inner child, so to speak. We all sort of remember the freedom of having a bike when we were young, and then you come back into later life and you go, actually, besides you've got to get out there, it's actually it's a wonderful thing. I am a triathlete, and you say to me, pick one sport, I'll pick cycling all day long because of the freedom it gives me. I just start space to think, isn't it? And that freedom, that sense of freedom that reminds you of being a child again. But don't tell my wife any of that. She thinks I'm a big enough kid as it is.
Well, I think we all are, aren't we? I think, as you say, it can bring that bit of freedom, and hopefully also a bit of freedom for your business to grow as well, which is a good thing. So all the best with Crowdcube. As I said, we could talk all day. Just want to say thanks very much for your time, and and wishing you all the best for the future. Thanks again.
Thank you for your time, Gary. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.